10 unexplained U.S. mysteries that will haunt your mind. Get ready for a journey into the unknown. These eerie, real-life mysteries have haunted people across the U.S., leaving behind only questions, fear, and chilling possibilities. Some of them might even make you question your own reality. Let's begin. Number 1. The Email from the Dead, New York City, 2021. What if someone you lost emailed you months after their funeral? When 27-year-old Megan Riley lost her fiancé, Daniel Carter, in a tragic car accident, her world shattered. For months, she couldn't bring herself to delete his emails or messages, holding on to every last trace of him. But 6 months after his death, she received an email from Daniel's account. The subject line was blank. The body only had one sentence: "You need to leave the apartment. Now." Megan froze. She knew his account had been deactivated. Thinking it was a cruel prank, she ignored it. But just minutes later, the ceiling in her bedroom collapsed from a gas leak explosion. If she had been inside, she wouldn't have survived. Terrified, she tried logging into Daniel's email, but it was still deactivated. The email had no record in her inbox. It was as if it had never been sent. Who or what was warning her? Number 2. The Tunnel That Leads to Nowhere, Oregon, 2010. What if you entered a tunnel and never found the other side? In 2010, Kyle and Sarah Reynolds, a couple from Portland, went on a road trip through the Oregon wilderness. They stopped near an abandoned highway tunnel to take pictures. But when they walked inside, something strange happened. The air turned ice cold. Their footsteps echoed louder than they should have. After 10 minutes of walking, there was no end in sight. Turning back, they realized something chilling. The tunnel's entrance was gone. Only endless darkness stretched behind them. Their GPS, phone signals, and even their flashlights started flickering. Then they heard whispers. Panicking, they ran. Until suddenly, daylight appeared. They stumbled out, breathless. But something was wrong. Their car was covered in dust. Their phones were dead, and their watches had stopped. They had only been gone for an hour. But 3 days had passed. Number 3. The Man Who Watched His Own Funeral, Denver, Colorado, 1999. What if you attended your own funeral and no one recognized you? In 1999, Michael Harper, a 42-year-old construction worker, was declared dead after a fire at his apartment. His family held a funeral. They buried what was left of his remains. 1 week later, Michael walked into a diner downtown. At first, he didn't understand why people stared. Then, he saw his own missing person flyers, his name, his photo, his date of death. Terrified, he rushed to his sister's house, but she screamed and slammed the door. His fingerprints, dental records, and DNA matched the body they buried. Yet, he was alive. Or was he? Number 4. The Hotel That Traps You, Los Angeles, California, 1996. What if you checked into a hotel and it could never check out? In 1996, David Langley, a traveling salesman, checked into the Sycamore Grand Hotel in Los Angeles for a one-night stay. He never checked out. His credit card was charged for 3 nights, but the front desk claimed he was never there. His luggage was found in the room untouched. Security footage showed him entering, but never leaving. Years later, a renovation crew found something disturbing in the basement. A hidden door behind a wall, leading to a dark, windowless hallway filled with dozens of identical rooms. One had a single dusty suitcase. Inside, a wallet with David Langley's ID. The Sycamore Grand was demolished in 2015, but some believe that hidden rooms still exist, trapping lost guests forever. Number 5. The Road That Loops Forever, Texas, 2007. What if the road you're driving on never lets you leave? In 2007, James Miller, a truck driver, was delivering cargo near Route 174 in Texas when his GPS malfunctioned. The road signs were unreadable, and no other cars were around. After an hour, he realized he was passing the same gas station over and over. Even when he turned onto a different road, he somehow ended up back at the same spot. Then, he stopped for gas, but the station was abandoned. The fuel pumps were rusted, and inside, newspapers from 1968 lay on the counter. Frantic, he drove at full speed. Hours later, he found himself suddenly back on the highway, his radio crackling back to life. But here's the strange part. His fuel gauge never changed. To this day, Route 174 remains a normal highway, unless you take the wrong turn. Number 6. The Photograph That Shows Your Future, Chicago, Illinois, 2015. What if a single picture could predict your fate? Olivia Monroe, a photography student in Chicago, found an old Polaroid camera at a thrift shop in 2015. When she took a picture of herself, something was off. The image showed her standing in the street, wearing different clothes, and in the background, a car speeding toward her. 1 week later, she was crossing the street when she froze. The scene matched the Polaroid exactly. Same street, same outfit, same speeding car. Terrified, she jumped back just in time. The car barely missed her. When she checked the photo again, the image had changed. Now it showed her looking down at the picture in shock. She threw the camera away. But what if it wasn't predicting her future? What if it was controlling it? Number 7. The Voice That Knows Your Secrets, Seattle, Washington, 2018. What if a voice in your house knew things no one else did? Matt Turner, a software engineer in Seattle, started hearing faint whispers in his apartment in 2018. They came from no specific place, just a soft voice calling his name. One night, he whispered back, "What do you want?" The voice responded, "I know what you did." Matt's blood ran cold. There was something he had never told anyone, an accident from his past that he had buried deep. The voice never threatened him. It never spoke again. But every now and then, he still hears it breathing. Number 8. The Passenger Who Didn't Exist, Phoenix, Arizona, 2012. What if someone got into your car but was never really there? Jake Simmons had been driving for a rideshare app for 3 years. He'd picked up all kinds of passengers, drunks, weirdos, even people who barely spoke. But none of them scared him, until that night. It was 2:30 a.m. in Phoenix when he got a request from a man named Daniel H. The pickup location was an old gas station that had been closed for years. Jake hesitated, but the fare was high, so he accepted. When he pulled up, a tall man in a dark hoodie slid into the back seat. His face was mostly hidden, but he gave Jake an address. Jake tapped Start Trip on his phone and began driving. At first, everything seemed normal, but when he glanced at the rearview mirror a few minutes later, his stomach dropped. The back seat was empty. His pulse pounded. He hadn't heard the door open. The trip was still active on his app. Heart racing, he slammed the brakes and turned around. No one was there. Panicked, he checked the app for the drop-off location, but when he searched the address on Google Maps, his blood ran cold. It was a cemetery. Still gripping the wheel, he looked at the ride history. Daniel H.'s account had been deleted. There was no record of the trip. No passenger. No payment. It was as if the ride had never happened. But when Jake looked at his seat, the seatbelt was still buckled. Number 9. The door that wasn't there yesterday. Boston, Massachusetts, 2020. What if a door appeared in your home overnight, and no one else could see it? Erica Wallace, a graphic designer in Boston, had lived in her apartment for 3 years. She knew every inch of it, until one morning she woke up to find a door in her hallway that wasn't there before. It was plain, painted white, with a silver handle. Confused, she asked her roommate Kelly when they had added a new door, but Kelly just frowned. "What door?" Erica pointed. Kelly looked at the wall and shook her head. "There's nothing there." Panic twisted in Erica's stomach. She touched the doorknob. It was ice cold. The next day, she tested something. She left her phone recording in the hallway overnight. The next morning, the door was still there, but when she played back the footage, the hallway never changed. No door. No movement. No proof. Determined, she placed her hand on the knob and turned it. A wave of nausea hit her. The room inside wasn't a room at all. It was her apartment. But wrong. The furniture was decayed. The walls were cracked. And standing in the middle of the room was herself. The other Erica turned slowly. Her eyes were black voids. She smiled. Erica slammed the door shut. She bolted out of the apartment. When she returned later with Kelly, the door was gone, but sometimes, late at night, she swears she can hear knocking. From the inside. Number 10. The town that doesn't exist. Wyoming, 2017. What if you stumbled upon a town that no one else could find? In 2017, Brian and Lisa Carter, a couple from Utah, were driving through Wyoming on their way to visit family. They had been on the road for hours when they saw a highway sign for a small town called Ravenwood. Needing a break, they pulled in. The town was quiet. Too quiet. There were no cars, no sounds, just rows of houses with their curtains drawn. They stopped at a gas station, but the pumps were old and rusted. Inside, a single cashier stood motionless behind the counter. Lisa asked where they were, but the cashier didn't respond. He only blinked and smiled. Unnerved, they got back in the car and drove toward the highway. But after 20 minutes, they passed the same gas station, the same eerie houses, the same motionless people. Panic set in. Brian sped up. The road stretched endlessly, looping back into town. The sun never moved. Their gas never ran out. Lisa checked her phone. No signal. But one notification appeared. "Welcome to Ravenwood. You can never leave." Brian floored the gas. The car swerved. A blinding light filled the windshield. And then they were back on the highway. No town behind them. No sign. No trace of Ravenwood anywhere on the map. But when they got home, Lisa checked her photos. There, in the background of a blurry picture of the gas station, was the cashier, standing perfectly still, smiling. And behind him, a long row of people, all staring. Which mystery haunted you the most? Let us know in the comments, and remember, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for next mysterious video.